All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Ken McBee coming to you from what I usually say, sunny Phoenix, Arizona. But as you can see, it's snowing today. I think it's because maybe you moved here, but I've got a couple great special guests. We'll start with the man on my right here.
David Tillman, Vice President of Safety Driver Development. Happy to be here.
Excellent.
Hi, I'm Jim Fitzsimmons.
Excellent. So we just figured we would do an end of the year wrap up, kind of go through some of the things that's happened this year, keep you informed as we promised to all year. We'd still ask you to drop comments or questions that we'll take live here in probably about 10 minutes in the chats, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. If we don't get to all of them, we will continue to answer them after we finish here. But otherwise, just really let's dive into it. We've had a pretty good year, right?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, in large part, as we talk about often, due to our drivers and the performance that they've put in this year.
Excellent.
Yeah, and from a profitability standpoint, Swift remains very strong balance sheet. So good company to work for. It's not going anywhere. You're probably aware we've had just as recent as last week a company shut down, trucking company. So it still happens out there. That's not the case here. So
yeah. Well, and we just continue to keep growing. Mm-hmm. What are some of the acquisitions that we've had this year, Jim?
Yes, we had we've had really kind of three big ones. AAA was the largest, UTXL, and then Midwest Motor Express was the most recent one. So AAA, MME are both less than truckload carriers, and again, the plan, there's not some big plan to roll everything up into Swift or Knight. We're going to continue to run these brands separate. Everything kind of rolls up to the parent company, Knight Swift parent company, but we'll continue to keep these companies separate.
Yeah, and I would just echo that. It's exciting, really good companies that are now part of the K&X family, and really good people we've had a chance to meet. So very, as Jim said, very much growth-minded business. And on very stable footing.
Continue to broaden our suite of services, and UTXL is a logistics provider there in Kansas City, and the other one's less than truckload. So lots of opportunity. That's the reason why I always say I came to Swift was opportunity, but it just continues to grow.
Just keeps growing.
Exactly. Definitely. Now, some of the more important things for our current drivers are some of the big wins we've had. We've invested in our drivers heavily. With our driver performance program, a lot of incentives. We've invested over $20 million so far this year just in those items. But I think there's some other wins that I feel like we've had too with even our terminals. Can you go through some of those, Jim?
Well, yeah, and if you're working for Swift, then you definitely know you've seen a lot of improvement as you get through the different terminals. And I'm very impressed with the job that has been done at those that have been remodeled. It's not just a fresh coat of paint and new flooring. It's a full remodel where we're putting in private showers, bathrooms into each of our facilities, really going through, knocking walls down, redoing plumbing, electric, kind of building a first-class facility. Our Phoenix facility, has been under construction for a long time. That's part of the problem right now, right? It takes longer. It's harder to get labor to get those jobs completed, harder to get material, but the jobs we're doing are amazing. The one here in Phoenix is going to be just a top-notch facility when that's done, with the full gym, a little movie theater area. So very nice facilities.
Gaming areas for our younger gamers.
Yep.
The gyms are in 6 to 8, I believe, of our terminals. So getting a pretty good network of gyms nationwide.
Yep.
No pun intended.
Different
right?
gym.
Different gym. Some of the other improvements would be in technology and safety.
Yeah. This year we've launched a new ELD, and I know we've had some challenges with that, but a lot of those are being worked out. We've seen a tremendous response from our drivers. And one thing I just love the tenacity of our fleet, because we change, we adapt. There's, we've talked a lot about the 3G sunset and some things that have caused us to react and make some of these changes, but our drivers have been so successful during that period of time, and it's really a difference maker for us.
Yeah, let's talk through that a little bit, because I know there's a lot of drivers out there kind of concerned or agitated with the navigation is one of the big things I hear. And I know, obviously, going from our old device to the new device being a tablet, there's a lot of change. I think a lot of the bugs we thought we had worked out, probably weren't worked out until you go live. It's really hard to know what you do in testing until you go live.
Yeah.
But you want to just take just a minute and just kind of talk about through. We're not giving up, right? We're continuing to make improvement.
Oh
and
yeah,
that's not gonna
absolutely. Both on the navigation, on the ELD, on the point app. Absolutely. That's the focus every day for a large group of our team. And we had a navigation update come out just this week.
Yeah, it's just like what you would see on your iPhone, for instance. You may get an app update on your Chase Bank account this week, and you get another one next week and another one the following week. So it's not fully the problem. All the issues maybe aren't fully solved, but we're carving a piece off every week. We see that they're making a lot of progress. One of the things was, they talked about being able to zoom in and out, little things that we wouldn't think about because most apps are that way, but we're
Right.
figuring those little pieces out, getting them done. Beginning of next year, the eight-day recap that sometimes you have to go back and figure what it is, those things will be loaded in there.
Yep.
So just lots of good things, more to come. We'll continue to do live events too on the Point and Zonar app as they improve.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some programming to speed up the time of what you see on the actual Zonar logs and then the Point app as well. And that's coming out right away. So I think that's going to be a huge win for our drivers. But yeah, it's definitely not, we're going to do some minor updates and then call it quits and call it good. This is going to be a work in progress that we continue
Evolve,
on.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, all through next year even as well.
And hey, we're definitely not satisfied with where it's at now. So
No,
just
not at all.
know if you have some frustration around it, there's a lot of people working on it, and it's a top priority right now.
Absolutely.
And I think the big thing that's making a big difference in all this is lots of driver feedback.
Yeah.
So good, positive, some negative, right?
Yeah.
But with all that driver feedback, we are getting it fixed, and we're building it the way our drivers want it.
Yeah, I
So-
think we certainly would continue everyone to encourage that, to give us that feedback as well. Just good, honest feedback. Like Ken said, it doesn't have to be a pat on the back all the time, but good, honest feedback can lead to positive change.
Well, and I think, one of the big programs that I'm really happy we did was we rolled out a ride-along program towards October. So
Mhm.
can you tell us maybe about your ride-along and,
Yeah.
and how it went and what you think?
It's been very successful. I did a ride along the end of July, and one of the my big takeaways was just our pulling power up any kind of grade was just very, very slow. We were kind of the slowest truck on the road. It wasn't the top speed; it was just the pulling power. And so we've done some tests. We're actually going to be making a change, and I will say, a lot of people had the same feedback that did the ride along was the pulling power. Our trucks are just very slow. Hazards on, we're in the right lane, and we're getting passed by just about every other truck out there. And so we've had a lot of meetings on it. We've done some testing, and last week the decision was made. We're going to improve the pulling power of our company trucks, and so we're basically going to do a parameter change, program parameter change that'll take it from the lowest setting where it is today and put it more kind of in the middle. There's basically 3 settings to kind of simplify it. We're going to go to the middle setting, so it's going to cost us some, miles per gallon cost to do that, but it's going to be more driver satisfaction because the driver I rode along, as an example, we increased his truck to the setting, and now he's running anywhere from 6 to 10 miles per hour faster up the same hills than before. So it's a pretty significant increase. We'll do that when we do the next service on your truck. Unfortunately, it's something we can't do over the air. It's got to be, touched by a computer and programmed in to the computer of the truck. But we will be doing that at your next service. If you're in a Volvo, the Volvos, one thing they don't have is Smart Pass, and that was something we've got a lot of feedback, ride-alongs and just voice your choice surveys, etc. Was the Smart Pass. Drivers love having the Smart Pass, and if you don't know what that is, that just it allows you to pick up your speed from our top speed of 65 on cruise. You can enable Smart Pass and go 67, and you get 30 minutes a day. So basically allows you to get around another slower moving vehicle or truck without backing up that lane as you're passing. And so drivers have been asking for more than 30 minutes. And so again, the decision on that has also been made.
Correct.
We're going to increase to 1 hour, and then we're going to go from 67 on Smart Pass to 68.
Yeah.
So you're getting an extra miles per hour and you're getting 30 more minutes. So I think that's going to be a huge win for our drivers.
Yeah.
Now, if you're in a Volvo, unfortunately, Volvo doesn't offer Smart Pass, and so we can't do anything on that. But we are going to increase the cruise speed from 65 to 66, and so that way, if you're in a Volvo, you're still getting something. You'll have a top speed of 66.
Well, and there's a couple other things we learned. How did you sleep?
Yeah, that was a tough one. So I went out with a driver that had a brand new 22 Kenworth, and his previous truck, I believe, was an 18 or 19 Kenworth. And so we get into St. George, and it was like 67, 68 degrees, and he says, "Hey, the truck's not going to idle." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? It's hot
He
here."
gave you the full experience.
Yeah, I got the full experience because we rolled the windows down. There was no breeze, and I laid in bed sweating all night. Come to find out, the truck had optimized idle. He just didn't know how to use it yet. So we figured that out by using YouTube and watching videos. And we went back to sleep after we delivered our load. We slept much better. But our 2019 and older trucks don't have any kind of optimized idle system. And so if it's between 35 degrees and 68 degrees, the truck basically won't idle after 5 minutes. And so we're going to lower that setting down to 60 degrees. And so that way, if you're in that kind of sweet spot of 60 to 68, the truck will idle. Now, if you're in a 20 or newer truck, none of that really matters to you because you got the optimized idle. Again, you got to know how to use it. Ken will kind of get into flow codes. We need to do a better job of communicating. All the different trucks have different systems.
Right.
It's imperative that you know how to use them to make your life more comfortable when you're out, over the road.
A couple others. So Volvos will go over the air. That could take till January, but we'll give them a week or two here for the shop to catch up. Then the other ones are when they plug in. We'll make these changes. When you were sleeping, how comfortable was it?
Oh yeah, not very at all. So
That's something we learned fast, right?
yeah,
All of us.
those mattresses, top bunk mattresses, not comfortable at all.
They're
I'll let you take that one. You're the mattress guy.
They're well, thanks. They're all delivered to the shop. They're ready to go. So we realized that all of us that went and did ride-alongs, that it was kind of an uncomfortable situation, right? And we realized that for our students, for our team. So if you're a team or you have students and you're a mentor, if you just check in at your shop, we have memory foam mattresses for the top bunk. Now that does keep that top bunk from shutting, but it went from a 4-inch mattress to a better memory foam mattress that's up top. So I think you'll get a lot better night's sleep that way. I tossed and turned a little.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, one of the other things, let me back up just a little on the ride along. I think it's important to know that it wasn't just a few of us. How many people and what's that look like? Because I think it's really changed some of our compassion and the way we do things with our drivers overall, the whole company. Yeah.
So we started off. I did the first one. Adam Miller, our president, did the second one, and then all of our terminal leaders. Ken's done one. David, I don't know if we've got
I've done one a while back, and then I got one scheduled with JCT. Yeah,
perfect. So we got a lot of got all of our high level leaders through there. And then currently we've got planners, driver leaders. We got, director of operations. We got a lot of your operations folks that are out there doing the ride along. I've personally seen feedback on about 70 of them. And so I know we've had a lot of them. Yeah. I know there's a lot more that have been going on. I haven't seen the write up or the feedback, but for me, it's really cool. Just, reading someone that's very honest that says, I wasn't really excited about doing this, was kind of dreading it, but wow, has my opinion changed? It's kind of eye opening. For people that have never done that, to go out there and spend a day or spend a couple of days in the driver's shoes and really see kind of what goes on with cars cutting them off, maybe poor treatment at a customer. There's been some great examples, and there's been a lot of stuff that we've went back and addressed, whether it be a customer or specific stuff with the truck like we've already addressed. But it's been very eye opening for a lot of us.
Say it's all gave us a lot of extra work because we realized there was things to fix.
Yeah,
whether it be mattresses or even fuel pumps. Some of the fuel pumps, they're looking at remodeling the fuel pumps at all the locations throughout the next 2-year plan. So a lot of things that got changed. So we're committed to also get out there and do those more often. So it's not just a one and done, and we don't forget what you go through every day.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
So I think on raises, those are important, right? We've had a few of those, whether you're in dedicated or over the road. Lots of incentives. Can you speak to that at all?
Well, yeah. I mean, we've continued to address, driver pay, and sometimes hate talking about driver pay because I know not everyone's on the same, pay package. We've got so many different opportunities at Swift, whether you're in intermodal, one of our many dedicated, lines of business, or, over the road. There's all these different things, and the pay obviously varies depending what you do. But I believe across the board, there's not anyone that hasn't got a raise this year, and some of our drivers have had several. And so we continue to look at that. Our goal is to be very competitive in the trucking space. And so as we get into 2022, we'll continue to look at that.
We've rolled out other things where we raised our student pay. We have guaranteed pay
Yep.
programs, rolled out our driver performance this year, million mile recognition,
Yeah.
diamond driver recognition. We have a big event coming up for our 3 and 4 million mile drivers here in March. So all kinds of recognition too that goes along with it, more than we've ever seen in our company. So lots of things happening.
Definitely.
Yeah. And we've seen just tremendous performance in the driver performance program too.
I was going to say, before we get to the questions, can you tell us really about safety and the changes we've seen from, I don't want to say it's driver performance, really everybody's efforts, right? But that's one of the elements that helped.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
Tell us where do we rank now as far as safety as a company? So when you look at coming to work for Swift and you're looking for a safe carrier, why would you choose Swift?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a variety of reasons. I would absolutely say, I think number one, we have a phenomenal training program. So not that you have to be a trainee to come to Swift by any means, but we do have a very thorough training program. We spend a lot of time with drivers preparing them to be first seat solo drivers on the road. But talking just safety overall, I think we've got terminals all over the country, dedicated line haul, all of our different businesses that are really bought in to safety. And when you look at how we're performing as a fleet now, it's very encouraging. Now, safety is obviously an area where we never are going to spike the ball and say, hey, we just won the championship, right? It doesn't work like that in safety. You've got to bring it every day. But we do have a group of men and women in our driving fleet that are doing just that. And we see that in the numbers. And one of those metrics we're always rated on is our CSA crash. How do we stack up? How do we compare? And for most of this year, the posting, the new results come out every month, but we've hovered in between that top 10 and top 15% all year. And that's where we're at. And we're not content there. We're going to continue to get better. I think our drivers are going to lead the charge in that regard. But that's crash. As a company, we've seen our amount of drivers that get injured on the job go down tremendously. And most all of those key metrics we look at, our crash rate, our DOT crash rate, our work injury rate, we've improved. And it's kind of like, to use a sports analogy, those of us in the office can coach, do those things, but the players out on the field got to play. And those
Our
are
players
drivers.
have been playing.
Yeah, and they have. And, it's again, though, it's awesome to celebrate where we're at with safety, but we've always got to be looking forward. And that's not a pun for defensive driving or anything, but you've always got to be looking forward when it comes to safety and continually bring it. It's definitely a top priority for us at Swift, and we are very committed to that. So
Yeah. And hey, probably a good time to remind everyone with the stuff behind us here in the window, the TV
Yeah.
monitor here,
Gosh,
or
I went
snow.
out to scrape my car
Yeah,
around.
exactly.
It's a blizzard.
Good time to remind you, speed for condition. So
Yeah.
when you got this stuff coming down, you got to slow down. And, I feel like every winter, it always takes us a week or two of having a few jackknives ran off road before we kind of get that message out where drivers, need to understand you make the decision, right? Like we're more worried about you and that equipment than we are the load. So if you need to pull over, find a safe place to park, wait the weather out.
Yeah.
I promise you the road conditions always improve, and so sometimes you're better off pulling over, waiting an hour or two, or maybe even longer if need be, but let that weather pass.
Yeah, I think really good point, Jim. I mean, yesterday was a perfect example. We saw insane wind across the entire central U.S. The West is getting hit with snow around Donner's Pass, as is typical this time of year, but in many other areas. And to just echo that, slow down, get off the road. Keep in mind, it can seem daunting, but most of these storms pass within about 8 to 10 hours. And so, I know it can be a difficult decision sometimes, but get off the road, get to a safe place, shut it down. You are the captain of that ship. I hate to use that corny phrase, but it's very true, especially for our drivers. And, another good rule of thumb is don't rush to be the first driver back out on the road. Trust me, you got to remember, just like the supply chain's been a little bit constrained, it's hard to find drivers. A lot of these cities in states are low on plow drivers this year. That is a reality. So it's going to take longer to salt the roads, longer to get the roads plowed. So we really, really do need to be patient.
So waiting an extra hour might be really beneficial.
Absolutely. Just don't be the first truck back out there. Wait, let it settle. As Jim mentioned, it's not worth it. We can call the customer. We can work with late deliveries and all that stuff. We will do that. We are committed to doing that.
Well, and let's touch on like three things that usually cause driver turnover, right? It's pay. We've been addressing that all year. It's driver treatment. Think of all the investments in our terminals and everything we're doing with our driver leaders and our fleet and ride-alongs and everything we can to understand the driver experience.
Yeah.
Right. And as we do that, so it's pay, driver treatment. I'm missing one. You guys, I'm drawing a blank because I put me on the spot.
Pay, driver treatment.
Oh, home time.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where I was going. I was just thinking ahead here, but we started our own home time team because we realized that was one of the most important things that a driver wants, right? They want home for those life events. I'm very happy to report that we're in the mid 90s. We're not done. We need to get to, obviously probably 100% would be ideal.
And you're talking home time compliance.
Home time compliance.
Yep.
Yes. So getting them there when they expect it. This is the time of year. There's a lot of home time, right?
Yeah.
So we're focused on that. That's, as a company, we've added a lot of manpower, and we will continue to do that. So that's something I'm really proud of.
And there's more opportunity at Swift now than there's ever been in the 55 plus years we've been, around. So
Lots of regionals.
If you're looking for
Locals.
something different, get you home more often, ask questions, because there's
a lot
so
of
many
opportunity.
dedicated and regionals, like Kim mentioned, that there should be no reason that we can't find something that's a good fit for you.
So if you're not working for Swift, you should be calling a recruiter to work for Swift is my
Absolutely.
message.
Yeah.
So let me touch on one last thing. We'll start hitting some questions. But, when we look at next year, what are some of the big projects you think we'll continue to work on or we're looking at for next year, Jim?
Yeah. So, one big one, which again, is a lot of feedback, is trailers. And I've been here 28 years. I feel like for 28 years, I can remember trailers being an issue. And it's not so much that we don't know where the trailer's at. It's we go to get the trailer and it's got pallets in it. It's got a outbound load in it. The guard won't let it out. There's all these different reasons why the driver gets on a wild goose chase to find a trailer. And so we've got a team that's now working on that. We're trying to use kind of a combination of technology, the technology piece being sensors in the trailer that tell us whether it's definitely empty or definitely loaded, and then working more closely with our customers where, we control the trailer pool, so that if we send a driver to get a trailer, we expect to get that trailer out of there.
Yeah.
And so there'll be more to come on that as we get into next year, but just did want to hit on that. That's probably a big piece that I feel this time, especially, right? Because when you get into third, fourth quarter, everyone surges up and customers kind of get to the point where even if you don't have power to move the load, they got to get that freight off their dock. And so they're loading up trailers. Trailers become harder and harder to find, which, all the more reason we got to make sure we know where they're at and make sure we can get to them when we know they're there.
Yeah.
We'll continue to work on Zonar tablets. We'll continue to work on home time,
All of it.
vacation,
I think
student mentor, getting everything digital. So really, moving into all the new technology. And one of the things that we want to bring up, we have these being hung up at our terminals now. They're called flow codes. So you'll start getting this at your B service. We'll put them on your visors. You'll see these handed out. We're showing them on the screen. These are just the main categories, but we're super excited about this because this is a good way we can share information. So once you see these, scan the flow code. You can find out like how to be a mentor. There's videos in there. There's application for a mentor. There's all the different bonus programs, reasons why. Terminal resources will have all of our terminals, contacts, things like that in there. We'll have newsrooms. So even if this is something we're updating these daily, you flip your visor down, scan your flow code, you'll know exactly what you're doing. We hope to have this on the tablet. And probably no later than the end of the February when I talk to them today, they'll have a URL, so you'll just be able to touch it and go right into those flow codes on the tablets, see what your reward and recognition pages are. Everything we're going to store here. So lots of good things coming with flow codes. Let's see here. Let's take some questions. How would you rate a veteran driving a veteran driving knowledge? I'm guessing they're asking how do we rate our veterans and the folks here. We are
Veteran drivers?
yes.
As in military veteran or?
I'm guessing this is just really veteran overall, military veteran. So our goal is to hire a lot of military veterans. We have a whole department that does it. We have academies. We have 11 academies across the United States. We have tuition reimbursement for our veterans. So all kinds of things.
Yeah, I think just to echo what Ken said, I mean, I certainly think we very much so value our veterans as we do all of our military service men and women. And we know that they make great employees, great teammates for us to work with. And so, yeah, we have a lot of programs. Our website has a lot of links to what we're doing on the veteran programs there. And I encourage anyone to check that out. But I certainly feel very strongly about it.
And veterans do make a little bit more per mile, right? We give you credit for your military service.
Correct. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, and I see a few different comments on what are the cents per mile. That's a really hard one because there's so many different
A lot of variables.
A lot of variables, but again, if you talk to a recruiter, we can kind of dial you in. Depends where you're running and what kind of fleet you're going to be running on.
Yeah.
All right. Dave, I think there was one up here that's definitely you. How can a hair follicle being in safety test give you an accurate results, especially that it's legal now in a lot of the states? A lot of people smoke, and being a non-smoker, my hair would give affiliated test,
A failed test.
sorry,
Yeah.
by just association around people.
Yeah, so we hair test all new applicants to Swift for safety sensitive positions, and I think many studies have shown, and we certainly believe that the science is very valid and sound. So I know there's a lot of misinformation out there about a hair test and false positives, but the labs that participate in this, we use psychomedics. I think have proven time and time again that it's a sound science. And to just address, it's legal now. If that's in reference to marijuana is still a banned substance per the FMCSA. So while it is legal in certain states, it is not legal for a commercially licensed driver to use marijuana. So,
And that's at any company.
That's at any company.
Yes.
You cannot be a commercially licensed driver and use. So no, we firmly stand behind our policy of hair testing and believe that it is very important for us to help achieve our safety goals.
Yep. So if you got a friend blowing pot smoke on your hair, don't worry.
Yeah, that's
positive.
not going to show up as a positive. It has to be metabolized into one system to show up as a positive.
So here's one I don't know the answer to for sure, but do you have a school in Michigan?
We do not have a school in Michigan. However, we have a lot of strategic partnerships with third-party schools. And if you get in touch with Swift's recruiters, we can certainly point you in the right direction. We do have a school in Columbus, Ohio, which is not too far from Michigan. But again, we've got partnership schools in Indiana, all over the Midwest there. So yeah, a lot we can do to certainly help you achieve your goal of getting to CDL.
And I see Shawana 386 is asking a lot of questions about you're in the troops and transportation program. Really, the best thing to do is get a hold of one of our recruiters. They'll go through the whole apprentice program, how it works, what you'll make. There's a lot of information that they're here all the time.
Yeah, we've got a team dedicated specifically to hiring veterans, and we can absolutely get her in touch with that team and make sure we get you taken care of. In fact, if we can get the email address or our best contact, we'll make sure that happens right away.
Well, and Bryce, we appreciate some great comments too. Swift is a great company and really cares about us drivers, we truly do. I mean,
Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
It's a
I'm
small
glad you
family
recognize
field.
it because we sure try, and hopefully
Yeah,
if you've been here for a long time, you've seen a difference the last 4+ years. We've really turned it on and continue to make an effort to try to really get like doing stuff like this, right? Like 4 years ago, this didn't exist, but it's kind of our way of trying to just keep that lines of communication open with our drivers where you feel very comfortable when you have a concern, an issue, a complaint, whatever it is, we want to know about it. That's quite honestly how we can get better most of the time is hearing it from the front line, the people that are actually, getting the work done.
Yeah, I know for myself personally, the feedback I've gotten from drivers or text messages and stuff, it does matter, and we welcome that. I mean, it's a different dynamic when you're dealing with drivers than those that you may work in the office with, but we have to have that line of communication, and we encourage it. I think from a high level, we recognize we've connected with a lot of our drivers, but none of us feel like, hey, we've done it. We've got this open line with everyone. So we're going to continue to work on that, not just in 2022, but really continuously. So,
well, one of the things that I can get you to put on your list is there's people asking for Peterbilts. So,
Oh yeah. That's one of the trucks we actually don't have today, but
yeah,
hey, you never know.
we have the other 4, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
We'll get that on your list.
I
Hopefully,
know.
you can
And they
get
do
that
have a
done.
nice truck. I was just looking at those a week ago.
Well, that's what I was amazed as I drove a long time ago, but I got in a truck, and I've said this a few times on one of these, but to move it for driver appreciation, it took me a minute to figure out where to even put it in gear. They're pretty seamless. They're good vehicles. It's almost like driving a car. Almost.
It's getting there.
All right. So what are loads looking like out of Florida? Can you talk about that?
Yeah,
Jim,
I can
for a
tell
minute?
you. So the market, right now we're a week before Christmas, so things get a little bit, different, obviously. People start shutting down early, et cetera. But I will tell you that the freight market has been crazy strong. It's been strong since March of 2020. It's kind of when COVID first hit the U.S.
Yeah.
Things exploded, and it hasn't slowed down. It's like we haven't had a slow month since. Now, the week before Christmas obviously is going to get a little bit slow. It's really not slow, like it's nothing like it normally would be. But again, if you get to a market that might be underbooked, it's just kind of a temporary deal. We feel the market is going to stay strong getting into January of next year, and we kind of think this strong market is probably going to last the majority of next year. And even if it only lasted the first 4 or 5 months, that kind of gets us through the normal slower time of the year where you start getting into the back half, which is typically always busy anyways.
Yeah.
Came across, do you hire anybody with felonies on their record?
So we look at everybody's application kind of on it individually. So we don't have a policy that says, necessarily this felony disqualifies you. So that'd be my answer to that is I'd still welcome you absolutely to apply. Recruiter will look at it, and we kind of assess those on an individual basis.
Jim, how much does a first-year driver make, and then maybe a second-year driver after that?
Again, that's a tough question because if you're in the Northeast, you're going to make a lot more than maybe a driver that's doing a regional fleet or something else out of another area, like say South Texas as an example. But in general, I would tell you like an average pay, you're going to make at least mid 50s to 60. And again, we might have drivers that hire on, don't want to work real hard, and they're only making 45 a year, and they're asking, hey, how come I'm not making what I was told? Typically, when we see that, it's the driver, it's not the freight. And so, we've got a lot of drivers hiring on that are making a lot higher than that, and we've got our experienced drivers, mainly like our mentors, our independent contractors, making close or even over 100,000. And so, it's really kind of up to you on how hard you want to work. And then what you want to do. Being a mentor is a great way to not only give back, but increase, your take-home pay.
Yeah. Here's one that does that also include owner-op trucks with the increased power settings?
That's a good question. I would have assumed the owner-op trucks had it, but what I would tell you is when we started looking into this, it was kind of like Greek to everyone. No one understood what the power settings were at. That's kind of how they come from the factory, and we hadn't done anything with it. So there's a good chance that if you bought a truck through Swift, either new or a used truck, it could be set on that parameter. So again, if as an owner operator, you could decide what to put that on, but I would definitely recommend having the shop look at that next time you have it in a shop.
Yeah, here's a question, and it's got quite a few different comments on it. But why do a 7-year driver, or why do 7-year drivers make the same as 1-year drivers? That's really not the case.
I don't know where that would be.
That's, and I see some other comments that shouldn't be the case. Now we do have a amount for our students, right? We have 800 for our students. Then the first 6 months, as you come to Swift, we have just a safety net. No matter if you're a newer driver or a experienced driver coming back to us or as a rehire, or an experienced driver coming, you have $1,000 guarantee. That's just so you get to know the system. Then from there, you're making at least 50 cents a mile or more. So therefore, I mean, I can't even believe 50 cents a mile. That's when I started in trucking, I think it was at like 18 cents. So I'm not that old.
Yeah, you are.
you chuckled a little fast there, Tillman. So yeah, that shouldn't be the case. You should talk to your fleet leader.
Unless there's some,
Terminal
dedicated operation someplace where, and I'm not familiar with one, but maybe we have one where the pay is the pay and I'm not aware of it, but it doesn't make any sense to me.
There's somebody what's available in New Mexico. They didn't ask exactly what. We do have a terminal in Albuquerque.
Mhm.
So lots of opportunity. We do have another on-site in Los Lunas.
A terminal in El Paso, right on
Yes.
the
Yep.
So lots
other
of,
side.
See a lot of opportunity in that.
Yes.
region.
okay.
In fact, if you go onto the Swift website, you'll see a link to get into the terminal listings, and even have contacts in there where you can reach out and ask some questions if you want to talk to an operations person before you actually start talking to a recruiter. Feel free to do that.
And then this person's asking, are there opportunities from a man from UK? Of course there is.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously have to have the appropriate visas and work authorization, but yeah, we get applications from all over the world, and you still have to have your qualifications, still have to be able to qualify for a CDL and go through the training program. But yeah,
Here's one that says, yes, they're thankful, but I believe the money Swift spent on seat cushions could have been money for driver raises. Well, we're committed to giving some driver appreciation gifts, Christmas gifts, things like that. And we did have multiple raises throughout the year. So,
Here's what I tell you. When you think of Swift as large as we are, if we would have took that money from the seat cushions and spread that over all of our thousands of drivers, it would have been an insult.
yeah,
And so I have seen a lot of good positive feedback on the seat cushions where people tried them out, weren't too excited about them, but I think so far the feedback's been really good on those.
comforters for
Yeah.
driver appreciation.
and I just think it's important to remember we kind of work on these things from multiple fronts. It's not always just cents per mile and pay raises. We're trying to improve the overall experience too. So
What's the stand on loads to Colorado? I don't know
what is Swift's stand on loads to Colorado?
I think Colorado's a great place. I mean,
That's where
Ken's
That's where
from.
Ken is
oh,
from.
Colorado, yes. No, maybe that's to driving in winter weather or something like that. Again, be safe. Make sure you're making the best decision for you as far as pulling over if you need to. Lots of snow.
Yep, but we do a lot of loads to Colorado, so
we do. Yeah,
there's not a state we don't go to. So
right.
Manny says, I want to join. I'm from Texas. Well, that's great. We've got terminals and
we got them all over Texas.
All over.
Yeah.
Dedicated on-sites, grocery, every business is in Texas.
Yep.
So
awesome. Let's see here. People going through school, joining Swift in January. Hey, we are
awesome.
still having our DQP classes, which is our welcome to Swift after you get hired and you go through your initial classes. Monday, Wednesday for the next couple weeks. So nothing's really changing, right? The holiday falls on an ideal day on a Saturday.
yeah.
So
yeah,
feel
we're
free.
still-
You can join right away. We can get you in a truck,
yeah. And
right?
we're excited to have you, Shay. That's pretty cool. He said getting CDL now and joining in January. So
Well, and once you apply, I think that's an important note that if you'll go do your drug test, by the time you come in, it's a day and a half, maybe at the most, and you're in a truck and on the road. Unless you're a student, then we, got to match you with a mentor. But otherwise, those experienced folks, we can get you going right away.
Yeah, the driver qualification process is typically about a day and a half. Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of questions, Jim, on horsepower for owners. So we'll respond to you over.
Yeah, I'm glad
tomorrow.
that came up because we hadn't talked about owners. I just would have assumed that an owner had the ability to turn their truck up. I believe you would, but we'll find out and get some feedback.
And driving experience transfer from another company.
Yeah,
that's one of the.
Yeah, absolutely. We absolutely take experienced drivers and work on and compensate often on bringing that experience over, as well as giving you a fast track to being able to mentor students and be able to qualify for the owner operator program.
All right. Well, the questions, there's a few more, but I think really we're at about 45 minutes. So it's the end of the year. Snowing in many locations. Do you have any closing comments for us? Jim, you want to go first?
Yeah. And just first of all, my appreciation for all the hard work that our drivers do, our mechanics, our office staff. Since March of 2020, it's been very unusual, right? We continue to adapt. I feel like we still have a long ways to go before COVID becomes a distant memory. And we're just reading some stuff this morning, and it's here to stay for a while, right? We're seeing some states where COVID case count is on the rise. And so we continue to try to adapt and do the best we can to minimize our exposure, because what we can't have happen is have a whole terminal get sick at once, because then that leaves the driver out there stranded with minimal support as we tap into other terminals. And so if you get to a terminal and it feels like, gosh, there's hardly anyone working, trust me, they're working. They're just working remote. We're trying to take advantage of technology to do that. But appreciate everyone's hard work as we continue to push through this weird time of heavy freight and COVID issues. But as we get into next year, I think I feel like it's going to be another solid year where freight will be great. We're here to support you. We're going to continue to do all we can to make the Swift make Swift the place where when you hire, we want you to stay here till you retire. That's our number one goal.
Yeah. Yeah, I would just echo what Jim said, and just encourage everyone to continue to give us feedback. I promise you, nobody that's here supporting drivers is resting back thinking, "Oh, we've got this made." We know we've got a lot of work to do. Proud of a lot of what we've been able to accomplish, but more than anything, I think I'm so grateful for the commitment to safety. Obviously, that's very near and dear to all of us, but that's in my realm. And I'm so grateful to our drivers for their commitment to safety, because I think, your families, those that you care about, the loved ones, the people we share the road with, if you ask them what matters most, I guarantee that's your health and your safety. And don't lose sight of that, and, take that with you into 2022.
Definitely appreciate you and all your hard work. We'll continue to do these live events and hopefully keep you informed. Happy holidays to all of our Swift family, all the potential Swift family that's out there that wants to join us. And we just hope you have a great new year and look forward to a great 2022.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.